This week on the Converge pod, we're chatting with an OG love bug, our co-founder, our co-director, dancer, choreographer, videographer, and my best friend, Amy Saunder. You're so cool. Stay right there. I got something to prove. Yay! Cheers to the first Converge podcast.
Cheers.
Thanks for talking to me, Amy.
Yeah.
What are we making?
We are having some salmon, and then we're making a celery, fennel, blue cheese, walnut, a little bit of parsley salad.
Amazing. I wanted to do our pod over dinner because I feel like this is how we hang out most of the time, but it's also like such a cornerstone of our friendship with Tiff too, because I just remember like back in Cotspawn at our residency with Ballet Next and how we were like making kale salads in a like stock pot every night with endless bottles of red wine. And it was like, those are such lovely days, like before we were even Converge Dance, when we were still meeting each other. And it was just like, it was so nice. And we still do it all the time. So
We do.
it's lovely. But I guess you recently have started a supper club called Someday Supper, and have like really, dove into the culinary arts, if you will. But do you do Someday Supper once a month? Tell us about that a little bit.
I was trying to do it once a month. And I think we did, like 3 months in a row.
That's amazing.
Robin Cantrell and I were hosting it, and it was really beautiful, and it was just a group of friends who got together and ate dinner and drank a lot of wine together. And I would prepare these kind of lavish 3 to 4 course meals just for my friends, because the best part about making food is serving it and sharing it with others.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it came about, and Robin had this beautiful apartment, just kind of the perfect place to host people. So we started doing that, and it was like donation based to help cover the cost of the ingredients. But then everything got really busy.
As it does.
And
I'm impressed you got people together for even 3 giant dinners. That feels like a feat on its own, worth celebrating.
Yeah, it was really beautiful, and we had musicians for 2 of them.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Greg, Robin's partner, he played the piano for the first one.
Oh nice.
And it was in the garden, and it was really beautiful. She had this like really beautiful garden, so he set up his keyboard outside, and we had like cocktail hour in the garden at sunset with Greg playing.
Was it a vegetable garden? Did you use like actual? Oh my gosh.
I did, because she grows like zucchini and herbs and tomatoes, squash of all kinds. Yeah, and so I just go around and pick whatever I could find, and I'd usually, I think all 3 Sunday suppers we had a Robin's garden salad.
Oh my gosh.
With kale, and then like everything that I foraged in her garden.
Wow.
Yeah, super nice.
A whole like Amy Robin farm to table experience.
Yeah, it's
Brooklyn
really beautiful.
farm.
Oh, the second one we had he was an opera singer and plays the accordion.
Wow,
So
that's
it's
such
like-
an interesting combo.
Yeah.
Does he make music on his own?
Yes.
This
Yeah. He
mysterious
has.
operatic accordion player.
Yeah, he does. He's a beautiful musician, very
cool.
talented, and he writes his own songs and does some covers as well.
Wow,
So that was really good. Right now I'm cutting celery on the bias, and that's what the recipe says to do, and I don't know if that's the right thing. I don't know if I'm doing it right.
what does that even mean? With the grain against the grain?
I don't know. I think it means like that.
Okay. Well, we learned something new. Celery on the bias.
I
But
hope that's how it goes.
did you grow up with dinner being a really important part of your childhood? Like, were your parents hosts, or is that something you kind of brought into your life after the fact, after leaving home?
That's a really interesting question. I had not a very traditional American childhood, because I didn't grow up in America. So we actually had, in Zimbabwe where I grew up, we had maids
Okay.
in our house, and they would actually cook us dinners. So I'm not I don't know if like the cooking thing came from there.
Yeah. So you didn't grow up cooking or with your parents cooking? But
No, I didn't. But gathering around the table, yes. Like all special occasions were around the table, centered around food. And like Christmas dinner was always like a specific thing, and Sunday too. It's a very like British culture that I grew up in. So it was like Sunday supper, basically, where you have a roast and potatoes and Yorkshire puddings and stuff like that. So in a sense, yes, the communal aspect of it, the sharing, but the cooking, I didn't start cooking until I had to, because I left home at a young age and had to learn myself.
You were born in Zimbabwe and you moved here at 11?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. On my 11th birthday.
On
Or
your
3 days
11th?
after or something.
Oh my gosh, it was so close.
Yeah.
So you moved here from Zimbabwe, and were you dancing before you arrived in the States? Or?
I was dancing when I was there, very much for fun. It's more
like ballet or
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
everything?
I did ballet mostly, creative movement stuff, and I just loved to dance. And I think when I moved here, I kind of had to make the decision to choose it as something I really wanted to focus on. Because I was also playing field hockey, and I was like interested in gymnastics. At some point I thought I wanted to be a cheerleader, just because everyone else was doing it.
Yeah.
It's the only reason.
The middle school, high school dream.
The middle school, yeah. It was 6th grade, and I was like, I have to fit in. Maybe I could be a cheerleader. And I feel like this might be a fake memory, because I feel like my parents have told me that this is not true. But I have this memory of going to them and saying like, I kind of want to be a cheerleader, and they were like, no, you have to choose between dance or cheerleading. Like, you can't do both. And so I chose dance. And I don't know if that's a real memory or not, but
well, I'm glad you chose dance, real memory or not. Like,
it's something that like exists in my head. Yeah. So then, yes, it was different when I moved here. I definitely took it more seriously. I was at the age where you kind of, you have to make that decision
quite young. Yeah.
If you really want to seriously study it.
Yeah.
And my mom, she really sacrificed her life a lot for me, and she got a job working at the front desk of the ballet studio in Columbia, Maryland, Ballet Royale, in order to pay for my classes so that I could attend ballet class. So I did their enrichment program, and I was there every single day. And I would go to school, and I'd get out of middle school early and go to ballet, and then be there until late at night because my mom had to close up the studio. So it was definitely like the center of my life and existence, and it's all I really wanted to do. Yeah. And when I moved here, I didn't quite learn how to fit into the public school system. I had a really hard time. I was bullied. I was very different, like a different accent, dressed differently, like different things. And I tried everything I could to fit in. I changed my voice, I changed my clothes, I changed my interest in music. Everyone liked country music, so I was like, yes, I also do love country music.
Did that
like quickly like search what is country music and like listen to it over and over just to get the lyrics. Just so I could, try to fit in a little bit.
Yeah.
But it didn't really work. And I still felt like pretty not great in middle school, but then ballet was a chance to get away from that, where I was just around people who were much more like me. Just a little bit different.
It kind of crosses those, like, whatever, cultural barriers. It's about movement and connecting, and there's something, even in young dancers, that's so much more, I don't know, aware or mature, and like they don't care about differences quite as much. It seems.
Well, you're there to do the same
ebbs and flows.
thing. You're there because you have an interest in dance, or maybe someone put you in that room, but it's just like a common, universal connecting point. The classroom. Yeah. Especially if you're getting a little bit serious about ballet, and then you kind of collectively know how important it is and how serious it is, and how you really have to focus all your energy and attention. And when a whole class is doing that, you get a special bond. So all those people I met when I was 12, 13 doing this enrichment program, I like remember all of them, because it was this very, very close-knit family, really, dance family.
Yeah. So was it the community aspect of dance that kept you in it for as long as it's been, or is that the thing that's connected you to dance the most?
That's a really interesting question.
Also, given the nature of our company, Converj Dance, bringing together so many people, and the nature of your someday suppers, like, you know, bringing people together over food, bringing people together over art.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say that's like a big reason why I love it. It's that universal language that that speaks over boundaries, right? It builds bridges instead of breaking them down. It's just like a very primal way to connect with another individual. So I think that is probably one of the main things. And dance communities are just so strong. You know, we're like most of the time, not everywhere, but we take care of each other. And there's a sense of care and familial love, and maybe some friendly competition, but that's good too. And I think that, I don't know if that's like kept me in dance, but that's definitely one of the main.
It's like a through line, I guess.
It's definitely a through line. And something that I'm happy that we're doing with Converj.
Yes.
Converging.
Converging everyone. And we were just talking the other day about how like close-knit the freelance community, at least the corner that we're a part of here in New York, is like such a strong bond and such a strong family that we're so happy to have. And, you know, it's just nice. We love our people.
It's so beautiful. And like NY Community Ballet, the thing that Mira Cook started, it's a ballet class series. I feel like I go there every day, and every day I see at least 2 or 3 really close friends whom I love so much. So getting to just see people I love every day and do this thing that we all are invested in together. I mean, that's just special.
Yeah, totally. So I guess jumping ahead to now, we might go back to before, but you're dancing with Battery Dance currently, as well as Converj Dance. I guess Battery is also a very community-oriented company, but a lot more worldwide than Converj Dance is. You've been to
we went to Indiana.
You did go to, or we did go to Indiana. The corners of the earth. But with Battery Dance, you went to what, like 7 countries last year alone or something?
That was a mixture of Battery and Seva, I think. But
true. And Seva is the
otherworldly,
the nonprofit company that you do video work for, which is
a
very multifaceted person over here. But so touring with Battery Dance, and I guess seeing communities outside of the one that we've been kind of steeped in here, and bringing dance to kids, what has that been like, or how has it, I don't know, informed your practice, or how you enter a studio space, if at all?
Yeah, I think...
Also, this looks so good.
I think that Battery Dance's methodology, their Dancing to Connect program, has really opened up my eyes to the different ways that dance can be used as a source of healing for everybody, like literally everyone. Whether you have a disability, or you don't speak English, or you've never danced at all in your life, or you've been dancing every single year since you were like 2. They've really created this methodology that works in all situations, and I think it has changed the way that I view dance. Making it more of a community-based thing, making it more universal, making it more of an individual expression and a community expression, and I think it's just opened up my creativity. Because I think the biggest thing that I've learned from teaching in Battery and from traveling to all these different places is that creativity is universal, and that everybody has it, and that we're kind of born to be creatives. And I think people just don't have the tools. So I feel like I can go into these spaces where people may or may not have been given the tools to be creative, and if they haven't, they are just astounded and overwhelmed with what they can make.
With the potential of it all.
They never knew the kind of freedom and liberation that they could feel from dancing. And they're going from never having danced at all to performing with us on stage a week later. And we give them different tools every single day, and it kind of like accumulates into one big puzzle. But yeah, creativity can be learned. I mean, it's in us, and maybe learning means just pulling it out. But yeah, I think
because there is such a myth, I guess, of like, oh, there's the creatives and then there's the other people, but it's something within all of us, and it can be learned or brought out in different ways, whether you're really creative with a spreadsheet or you just need a little bit of like a toolbox and some coaching to like really change your life. That's incredible. How old were the people you're working with?
It's a wide range. I've done people who are like 11 and people who were my age and older. So it's definitely a wide range. Every class is a little bit different.
That's so great.
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
Yeah, and I feel like working with you so closely in the studio, like year after year, all the time, like this past year I felt that shift in you, I guess, or like I don't know, almost like I'll call it a reinvestment in creativity, or like a reopening of the box, because I feel like all three of us come from classical ballet backgrounds, which have very prescribed ways of being, and I'll leave it at that. But I feel like the past
to unpack.
It's for the extended version. But I feel like the past year you really like cracked something open where you're like, I see your rules, I see the way the things I've been given, and I'm gonna like, take it up a level, or not take it up, but like open it into a different place where it really does become more about experimentation and like the feeling and the experience of it, and it changes the way that you like shape the space when we walk in to work on your piece, and it's really fun. It's fun to like follow you on that journey.
Thanks.
Which makes me more excited about getting into your piece for this season, which is the Buried Giant, or based on the Buried Giant. I don't know. Do you want to talk about your piece now?
Sure. Yeah, creativity. This being said, I've had like maybe 500 like creative freakouts where I'm like, I'm not capable. I'm not creative. I'm the worst dancer and creator in the world. Because it's just a creative process.
It is, and I feel like that's like we never celebrate that because it feels terrible, but it's like an under-celebrated or like I don't know, acknowledged experience, because it feels like something you shouldn't have. Like, you should just be able to make it, especially as a dancer or choreographer that's like professional perfectionist that's like led to believe like, this is what I do, therefore I should just do it. But embracing the difficulty or darkness a little more, I think, is just fine, and probably for the best.
It gets there. It keeps me up at night. Yeah, for sure.
So cheers to more freakouts. But the three pieces we're presenting in June, we showed as works in process at a studio showing in November. And yours is changing quite a bit from that version, if I understand correctly.
Yes.
So maybe give us just like where your piece started and what it became in November, and maybe where you want to take it now.
Yeah, so it started with a book. It's a book by Kazuo Ishiguro called The Buried Giant. And it was very vague at the beginning, I think. It was just like the book is very vague. All of Ishiguro's works are slow, and you have to be patient, and you have to wait for the thing to happen, and sometimes it doesn't happen, and sometimes it does, but it's a slow simmer, the entire book. So I think also the processing of the book was a slow simmer for me too. And I'm rereading it now, but I'm still processing it. So I think back then, in November when I was starting to create it, I didn't quite know the story that I wanted to tell, because it's also just brilliant storytelling.
Right, it's hard to take a story that's already feels brilliant and then distill it into something new, maybe?
Yeah, and I don't know, I don't want to do like a literal like, we're asleep and now we're dancing because we're happy,
like,
and now we're
all of it.
And I've never really made a piece that had like a through line story that you could follow. It's two characters. It's a narrative. I've never really made a fully narrative piece. Well, I guess We Tell Ourselves Stories was definitely narrative, but it wasn't following just two characters on a journey. I guess.
Right. It wasn't
Maybe that's the difference.
a straightforward like hero's journey, if you will. It was
Yes,
like we're
yeah.
in this world and let's populate it with movement.
Yeah.
Which that was very clear. A story
Yeah.
on its own, like the environment was, but
Yeah.
maybe the plot is the new introduction this time.
Well, I also started with music that time. I
Right,
like started
right.
with the Bandits music. So that inspired the whole thing. This time I started not with music at all. I started with the story.
Yeah.
So
with words.
yeah, so in November it was very vague. It was like, okay, there's this mist and people are forgetting things and there are two main characters and they're going on a journey. And that's kind of like I started with this idea of mist and memory loss and where do those memories go? How do we retrieve them? When we retrieve them, is it good or is it bad?
Right.
You know, and then it goes on a greater level to collective amnesia. Not to give any spoilers for the book, but there are hints at the whole place, country. Environment that they've all been told, or there's this mist that's been introduced so that they won't remember the wars and the trauma and the really horrific past, the Britons and the Saxons, the fighting. So that's why there's a mist there, to keep the peace. So on a greater level, it's this like, is it better not to know and then it's all peaceful and everyone's getting along?
Right.
Or should we know what's going on?
And
Maybe there are
process and-
wars,
yeah.
but processing and you know, that leads to even more death. So it's really hard to know. I mean, I think we should know our history, obviously. That
Right.
seems like a no-brainer, but the book does explore those ideas.
So I guess what you presented in November was a bit of like vignettes of possibilities for what this story or what this piece could become.
Yeah, very much like sketches of ideas.
Yes, a true works in process. But in the few months between then and now, I guess, how have you kind of synthesized or distilled what you've made, and how you want to progress it?
I think I have found some clarity in the story itself. Like, I'm not telling the exact story that's in the book.
Right.
But I do know their journey. I do know the path from beginning to end. Like, I know the structure. And I have the music. I got Alexis Gideon composing the score for me. Yay. It's 20 minutes long for part 1. By the way, this whole piece is going to be 3 parts. We're just showing part 1 at the Konverjdans show.
This is a long term.
It's a long
project.
It's a long term. It might
We're
take
excited
forever.
about, but
yeah. So we're just seeing part 1. But I have part 1, part 2, part 3. I have it all figured out on paper.
that's great.
Obviously, I don't like what dance moves are going to go in there.
Yeah.
You know, that's like
You're
TBD.
like, but the map is there.
Yeah, the map is there. The story is there. I think the big thing that's missing that I want to explore, and we'll explore once we get into the studio, is the why.
Right.
Like, why tell this story? Is it important? What am I actually saying? Which, to be honest, I don't know yet.
Yeah.
Like, I know the structure. I know Axel and Beatrice are the main characters. I know where they go, and I know how it ends, but I don't know what the like importance of it is yet.
Yeah.
Which feels kind of like the book too. It's like you never really know the importance until, at least for me, I had to like put it down and think about it, because it's very abstract at times.
Yeah. Is the abstract nature, like the slow pacing of the book, influencing how you're choreographing or pacing your story at all?
I haven't really thought about that. I think it
It's
must
you can panic about
be.
later, but-
Yeah, I'm like, oh God. I definitely feel, I don't feel the pressure to be quick with it or make it move quickly. So I guess yes, because other works that I've done have been like, okay, this, then this, and this, and this, like keep the audience like
Right.
engaged, happy, on their toes, like blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah. And I think this is the first piece where I'm just like, no, what about settling into the experience?
Yeah, which I guess also reflects the length of the piece that you're planning. Like this one, it feels like rich enough that you're like, I'm gonna sink my claws in and be here for a while, like for not just the creation of a full evening piece and like whatever that is, 60 minutes of dancing or something, but the potentially years long process of like living in this world of creating a news buried giant from this story that already exists. So I guess with that, because it's obvious to me and maybe the people listening that this already feels like such an important story to tell, even if the why isn't specific. But going into the studio, do you feel like you have to find a specific why during the creation, or is that just something that keeps popping up in your head?
I kind of want to see what happens. I mean, I want it to, for lack of a better word, I want it to come out organically.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to force the why. I want to work with the dancers on the subject matter and get their personal experiences in it as well, and see where we go as a group, as a collective group, into the, like, what's the importance. So maybe it's not a main goal of mine, no.
It's like a leading.
Am I interested in it? Yes. But it's not, my purpose isn't to find the why.
Yes. Yeah.
It's to explore and experiment and be patient. Your question before, I was also thinking about how I want to be more patient in the creative process. I feel like studio space and dancer time and availability and everything, it's so rare. And it often feels very rushed.
Absolutely.
And sometimes that means that I just kind of like, I'm like, good, do this, that, and the other, and it's good, let's move on. You know, I'm like, it feels like a sprint, and I think I'm wanting it to obviously progress in the timely manner that it needs to be presented on June 14th and 15th. But I want it to be more calm and patient.
Yeah.
Like, I want to give us all the chance to experiment in it and feel the dials and
yeah.
Like,
fiddle with it, make mistakes, change things, let things adapt as we like all dive into our characters and figure it out.
Yeah, I have this instinct to like want it to be the perfect thing immediately.
Like, first idea is the best idea.
Which it's never going to be.
Yeah.
Especially,
Yeah, and I don't know if that's something that audiences in general really realize, is like the time in the studio or the timing of creating a show. Like, we have 2 months to put this evening together, to put HYPHA together. It's already, I'll say, a little bit done because we had a works in process showing in November, but like you were saying, there's such this rush to just like get everything done quickly, kind of out of necessity because the city runs at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Everyone's very busy juggling various different schedules because we're all freelance. So, you know, working with Battery Dance, all of our dancers work with other companies as well, but time is very precious. But it's almost like, I'm gonna say it, I don't want to say it, but it's almost brave to like step on the brake a little bit and just be like, I know this time is precious, but I'm gonna take my time with it, I guess.
Yeah, because after all, it is the process. It's the process. Yeah.
And rushing through it doesn't really help anybody. So.
Yeah, and we're doing this because we love it, because it should be fun. It should be an exploration. It should be fulfilling a curiosity instead of like a, I gotta get it done.
Yeah.
Gotta get that choreography done. Okay, I did 1 minute. Okay, I need to do 1 more minute today, and then, you know,
in my 30 minutes of rehearsal.
I've obviously been there because I know the experience.
What does converge mean to you?
Ooh. That's a heavy question. I feel like that answer changes a lot. Like, on the basic level, it's what we were talking about before, the community, the bringing together, making something that didn't exist before, bringing people together who maybe haven't met before or don't spend a lot of time together. That's like the base level. On a higher level, I'm gonna butcher this because I don't remember the name of the philosopher who said this, but there was a Sufjan Stevens song about it, so that's why I know about this. There's some philosopher who has a saying that everything that rises must converge.
I love that.
And it's really, really beautiful. And what that means to me is that if we can rise above the bullshit, the societal stuff, the pressure, the fear, the collective amnesia,
just that like.
Yeah, I think if we can rise to a sort of higher state of being, or if we can dial into our creativity and experience the magic in the world, and if we can do that, then we converge at the top together in this like beautiful art space. So if you rise, you can then converge and create. So that's kind of what it means to me.
Yeah.
Lately. I wish I remembered the philosopher's name. That's very embarrassing.
That's okay. Botched philosopher quotes are one of my favorite things.
There was someone who said this thing
Someone
once.
said this really great thing.
But then
that
I even sang about it.
But
so
then
that's
he said it even more memorably.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
The salmon's done.
Yay, perfect.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it looks so good.
Yeah.
Thank you for cooking for me yet again. I owe you several dinners at this point, but yeah. Thanks for
Awesome.
chatting. I can't wait to see your work and get in the studio. We'll be there like next week, right? We start rehearsing next week?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's crazy. Anyways, cheers.
Yeah.
Happy, I was about to say Quinto.
Happy converj.
Happy converj.
Happy HYPHA.
Cheers. Happy HYPHA.